Before we get started, I just want to say the video ended up getting a little bit scuffed during the filming of the podcast. We filmed it literally moments after we got home from the long flight from Toronto, so things weren't set up exactly properly, so I apologize for that. I hope you guys enjoy it. The audio should be fine, but yeah, here's the podcast. Bye!
Do you know what a Dragonite sounds like?
No. I hate that. That's crazy.
I don't. Is that how they sounded in the show?
Dude, why is it? Why did? I thought they just say like their name, like Dragonite. Dragonite. But no, that guy just makes some weird noises.
Yeah, it sounds like my stomach after the Indian food we had.
But it was beast.
It was so good.
It was so good.
I'm definitely going back there for round 2 in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys? Welcome to X3 Drop. I'm Xell.
And I'm Tora.
What happened? Where'd Josh go?
He shrunk, and then, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like smaller version of Josh, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, for this week, we couldn't get Josh, but we just got back from Toronto.
Yeah,
it was an ordeal and a half, and we'll talk more about it in the premium episode, just kind of like the our experience in Toronto, which was mostly awesome until the last bit of it. So we'll get all that into the premium episode, which you can find on our Patreon. So go ahead to patreon.com/XellTCG if you guys want bonus content from X3 Drop. But yeah, today we are going to be talking about something a bit different. We're going to be talking about all the regionals that had just happened and talking about a particular deck that I think has been making waves. Like, I think everyone knew Belo Betty was going to be a menace, but I don't think we saw the sort of success that we were going to see with it until this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend was crazy. The amount of Belo tops/wins was absurd. Everywhere in the world, she just dominated, and that is annoying, but also kind of refreshing in a weird way.
So I think when we were talking about the meta last, like, obviously, if you look at everybody's tier list, it's like, okay, we got blue-purple, we got green-purple, we got purple Luffy, right? We're like, we live in purple Luffy's world.
Gum Gum Giant is just too good.
That's what we said. Yeah, that's what we said.
Plus 4K?
Just
card neutral?
Just a little 4K, draw 2, card neutral, you know? We're like, yeah, that card's busted. What's up? It's Belo Betty.
Punch. 5, 8. I'm dying. How am I dying this quickly?
Yeah, and I think it's just been a little bit, maybe, is it a wake-up call? Is it, like, did we disrespect Belo Betty, or did we kind of accurately see where Belo Betty stood in the meta? Because, again, last week, me and Josh had talked about how, like, Bonnie, like, was, like, the big new meta threat, and suddenly, we don't see Bonnie. It's just Belo Betty everywhere.
I don't think I saw Bonnie as much as I thought I was in Toronto, for sure, especially. But in other places, Bonnie was still very, very relevant. But when talking to other players, it seemed like she had a good matchup into Belo, but still managed to get through, like, Belo just always managed to get through, like, the gauntlet of decks that everyone was like, oh, she's bad. She's, like, bad into this, bad into that, and she always got through.
Yeah, so talking about Toronto and these OP11 tournaments, it's kind of the last bit of tournaments that we have for the format, right? And there are treasure cups remaining.
Yeah, we have the Gen Con, like the gauntlet. The 3-day
bing, bing, bing.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday treasure cup gauntlet.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of August. And then I think there's nothing in July. We have the gauntlet. Then we have what just dropped, which was round 2. Round 2 regional stuff.
That's right.
But that'll be 12.
That'll be OP12, yeah. So kind of a little bit of a break in the schedule, I think, but hopefully this helps people think about what they want to bring for those Gen Con treasure cups. And then also on top of that, we're kind of going to go over OP11 as a whole, right? So Yeah, so let's bring up some of the Eggman pie charts. I have them on my phone. I'll put them on screen in editing. But we had what looked like, what is it? Is this 4 regionals? No, 3 regionals this weekend. It was Sang Sang in Mexico. We had the Toulouse regional, and then we had Unsung Events in Toronto. And looking at these pie charts, the thing that stands out to me is how different each and every one of these pie charts are.
Yeah, I think regions around the world, even like regions like in North America, seem to have like different takes on what is good. Because I think in Toronto, it might have not shown in like the pie chart of topping, but there were so many buggy players. And yet Belo Betty still slid through when you're playing at top tables. There's one game where I sat down and I played into Blackbeard, one of the games I lost as GP, which is insane. But the games next to me were Belo Mirror. And I was like, I dodged.
Yeah.
I'm there. And then I open hand and I go, 2Ks. What am I supposed to do with these guys?
Yeah.
And then I got cooked. But, we live and we learn. But yeah, Belo Betty, once it got through, I think the gauntlet of like the first couple of rounds, like the variants, like it just saw purple decks.
Yeah,
it
and
saw
just
what
kind
it
of felt
needed.
like, just home free from that point. Okay, so going back to these pie charts, it's interesting because like I do wonder how much of it is just like each regional and each region kind of bringing different decks to the table. I wish we had data on like what the most popular decks were in each of these regionals. I can only speak to Toronto because I was walking around and just seeing like what was being played, and like, yeah, you were right. There's a ton of buggy players, and there were a ton of blue-purple players.
Yes, blue-purple, I think, might be the second most popular during that regional. Second or first, like for sure. I think people saw... it's just still like has the highest floor, I think, when it comes to... and like... maybe the highest ceiling.
Yeah, I would say highest ceiling.
Yeah. Because the floor can be pretty low.
Yeah.
5, Karasu, 5. Oh,
Tick.
I think I'm dead.
Yeah. I only have 3 life.
But yeah, the highest ceiling, and like you get to game states where you just have it locked up.
Yeah.
Like, put me in cuffs, officer. Like, I'm locked up. Like,
yeah.
Nothing you can do there.
That's definitely one of my favorite feelings playing blue purple is when you just leave an absurd amount of Dawn up, like 6+ Dawn, and you're like, come at me, dog. You ain't got it like that.
You don't. I have 5 cards in hand. All of them are events.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
do? You can Hody me. I still got 4 Dawn left.
You know what's happening next turn?
Gum giant.
9 lead. 9 lead.
Yeah.
9 lead. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So with the regionals, yeah, again, just looking at the pie charts, just very different. Like in Mexico, we saw Bonnie get into top 8. The pie chart here is much smaller. It's just for top 8, so kind of harder to talk about what the greater top 32 might have looked like for that. But for Toulouse, blue purple was the predominant deck, followed by buggy, and then it was just kind of a smattering of a lot of other decks like Law. I think I can bring up the exact numbers here. So we had 10 blue-purple Luffy,
Dang.
which is a lot.
That is a lot.
Top 32. Then we had 4 Buggy, 3 Law, and 3 Belo Betty, 2 Bonnies, 2 red-green Smokers, 2 purple Luffys, and then we had a one of Teach, Lim, green-purple Luffy.
That's crazy to me.
To only just one.
What I think is a premier deck.
Yeah, Yamato, Marco, and then the last was a black purple Monkey D. Luffy. I always have to like check myself when I read these. I'm like, there's so many Monkey D. Luffy. Oh my god.
Yeah, Toulouse seemed extremely wide. That is all I can like reading that pie chart out. Outside of like blue purple being that like staple deck,
Just dominant.
Like a third of top 32 is crazy.
Yeah, this is kind of the blue purple like we were promised, right?
Yeah.
We were like, oh yeah, this is how OP11 is going to be. Blue purple's everywhere. It's a menace. It's going to take over the world. And at Toulouse, that's how it seems.
Oui. But yeah, I think
Is Toulouse in France?
Yes, because
Okay.
their soccer team is the purple one.
Okay,
Yeah,
understood.
I get there.
Got
I
it.
get there. I get there. FIFA, save me, please. To be honest, that's what I thought last week at Vegas was going to be. Was this just blue, purple everywhere? But I think we also, like, in North America, come from a place of, like, so many people don't play the best deck, but they want to beat the best deck.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like in other regions around the world, they just go, "Oh, this is the best deck. I'm just gonna play it."
Yeah, just
And
slam it.
It just gets like the conversion is just better.
Yeah, so yeah, I would be really curious to know if any of you guys were into loose, like I want to know how, like, if you were to look around, like what the most popular decks was, but based off the pie chart, it wouldn't surprise me if blue purple really was the most popular deck there, and just by sheer numbers, that's why 10 came through. Because then when you look at Toronto, blue purple, like again, like we were saying before, when you looked around the room, blue purple, blue purple, blue purple, blue purple, it was everywhere.
I was scared.
Yeah, as
I was
GP, right?
scared.
But in top 32, blue purple didn't really perform, right? Like,
No.
to go through the pie chart here again, in top 32, 6 Belo Betty,
Yeah, it was quite
5
insane.
green purple Monkey Derek Luffy,
Represent.
another 5 blue purple Monkey that's right, you were one of the green purple Luffys. Hey, congratulations to
Thank
Tora.
you. Thank you. One and only top.
Your
We get
best
there.
top. I mean, okay, it depends on what you mean by top,
All
right?
Top 32.
Yeah, top 32.
Cut. A
Okay,
top
yeah.
cut.
First top cut.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got your invite as well.
Yes.
So we'll be seeing you in Dallas.
Got in the door, snuck into the door.
Yeah,
oh
right
my
before it closed.
God.
You're like the guys who show up at the like closing time at a restaurant. And they're like, yeah, the kitchen's not closed yet, but
Yeah, but I'm ordering to go. I'm nice. All right. I'm not sitting down. I'm just in and out. All right.
in and out.
I just
get
needed
my
that.
invite and go.
I
yeah?
needed that.
And then we had 3 purple Luffy, 3 Buggy, 2 green yellow law, 2 Lucci. One of them, which was our good friend Sam from
Yes.
PR.
Playing 3 Tenzan.
Yeah, 3 Tenzan. Marshall D. Teach, Katakuri. Oh, but this
Purple
is the purple
Katakuri.
one. Yeah, purple Katakuri. I was like,
it was sick.
did you watch their games?
Yeah, I rewatched the finals game, and it looked like just like a matchup knowledge type of deck. Like, I think a lot of people haven't played into it, and it does get cooked by some of the decks in the format. But I think it's one of those decks very similar to like JCM Whitebeard. Like, if they put in enough games, like I don't know if like I would know what to do.
Yeah, that deck. I played one in side events, and it is a scary deck. And then the other one-ofs that were in top 32 were Bonnie, Red Green Smoker, Green Yellow Yamato, and then a Zoro. OPL1 Zoro snuck in. So, again, all these pie charts feel very, very different from each other. And the only unifying fact is that Belo Betty just won it all.
Yeah, out of all 3 things, Belo Betty won all of them, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Blue Purple had decent representation in a couple, but somehow she gets there.
She just gets there. I think even one of the region, maybe it was Toulouse, where the grand finals was a Belo Betty mirror.
It's insane.
Yeah, so that's just crazy to me. And then it's kind of like, where do we go from here, right? Like, I know Belo Betty drops off in OP12, but if you're playing in the Treasure Cup, you gotta be worried about Belo Betty.
Yeah, there's this like, it's weird because if it was next week, I would be extremely worried.
Yeah.
Like I think
Like
there's
Loki change your deck.
yeah,
Scared.
There's like a hard tech option. Like I need to play something. I need to play Zoro.
Yeah.
I need to just
or like Buggy
I
or
needed-
one of
yeah.
these decks. Yeah.
something that hard counters whatever she's trying to do. But because there's a month, there might be this like 2-week period at your locals where you might just get run down.
Yeah.
I mean, you might just see red, yellow everywhere.
You know what a Belo Betty is, right?
No.
It's a type of mine, like a mine, like an explosive mine. that they used, I think, in like the Vietnam War and stuff.
Oh, you better be stepping
Yeah.
lightly.
A literal minefield.
Yeah.
So-
You better be walking around at your local like, I'm trying to fucking dodge.
Yeah,
I'm dodging. So in a month, I think it might go back to the norm. And I think people will play Belo Betty, realize I think aggro decks are quite hard. There is like a period before I like was playing GP and it was like EB02 that I like tried a ton of aggro decks. Like I tried Zora, I tried like Chopper. That's a side. That's a side. That's a side
You don't
quest.
have to be embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed. The raccoon is not good. He's
Yeah.
quite bad.
You
But he
gave
has-
it a go.
But he has some fun cards.
Yeah.
They're all so cute.
Man.
Chopperman. 5-6 into 3-5 into 3-4. Whee! But
Nothing cute about the next part.
Six. Yeah, I'm punching.
Yeah.
But I think where was I? Oh, talking about Belo Betty. I think a lot of players will be like, "Oh, this is easy." Then they won't see Karasu out of their top like 10 cards, maybe 15 cards, and they'll be like, "This deck is inconsistent. It's bad. I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah, I think just across card games, I feel like aggro is one of the it's like an archetype that I think people love to hate, and they say stuff like, "Oh, aggro's so easy to play," like you were saying, and you then play the aggro decks, and you realize like aggro decks are very, very difficult. I think the classic triangle in card games is aggro, mid range, control. I think aggro is with control maybe like the two hardest in my opinion, because like you just have such thin margins, right? And as Belo Betty, you are working with basically zero card economy. You're not drawing cards, you're only discarding them, and people aren't swinging into you. So you like most Belo Bettys never have a hand more than like 4 cards at any time, and yeah, you're just trying to find out how to extract the most amount of value from the limited cards that you have. And if you make a wrong decision, oftentimes you just don't get there and you lose, right? I think most Belo Betty players would know the pain of just like dying to 5, 6, 7 because you don't have cards to counter with, and it doesn't take much for you to die either. So it's very curious. And when we were leaving the Toronto airport, or trying to leave the Toronto airport.
Oh my God. Check out the Patreon for
the full-length episode where we talk about our extreme pain and suffering in the Toronto airport. But we were hanging out with like some of the guys at who play at Project. Shout outs to Project and all their amazing players. And we're talking about Belo Betty a little bit, and just kind of like, it's funny that Belo Betty saw all the success this weekend, but it's kind of like, is this deck actually the best deck, or is it just a deck that got there this time around and it just looks a little weird? It's like the thing where like if I had a penny for every time Belo Betty won a tournament, it'd be 3 pennies,
which is a lot more than no pennies, but it's only
just kind of strange that we got 3 pennies out of this.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people would have put money on Belo Betty winning this many tournaments at the end of OP11 like this. And we were talking about it because I think like Belo Betty isn't a deck that like most of the top players would enjoy playing. I think like Belo Betty is a deck, even though we just talked about how like aggro decks take skill and such like that, but I think Belo Betty is a deck where like your highest of highs, like the delta between that and your kind of like mid-roll is so enormous, right? Like you don't see Karasu, well now your deck is a lot less threatening, you didn't open with like Searcher, blah blah blah. It's just a lot less threatening, and there's only a limited amount a top player can do about that sort of variance, and I think that's like what pushes people away from continuing to play the deck. But I mean, it's just kind of weird. Like maybe top players should be playing more Belo Betty if it's going to see success like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it does get you there, like, and the deck clearly got many people there, that there's legs to it, obviously. But again, working with those extremely fine margins because like I don't think the 50 cards in Belo Betty, like if you like boiled it down, like on the those like list from like the sim that like these are like the most popular 50.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone almost is running the same 50.
Yeah,
like
Belo Betty doesn't really have tech options.
no,
you know?
like there's maybe like 1 or 2 like 2Ks or something that you're like, I'd rather play this 2K over this. Maybe I'm not playing Zeus or something like that, right? But I don't think there's a lot of like outplay variance in like the deck building aspect, but the gameplay aspect, there is like a lot of decisions that when I was playing against people during Swiss, like I'm like, oh, you already swung early, like you're just losing 2 bodies here for free. And that's the difference between maybe someone who's experienced in playing the deck often, like leaving 4 bodies standing, and now I'm looking at 3 8Ks instead of 1 8K and a 5K.
Yeah, and a one less card in their hand.
Right. Yeah, and decks like that run out of gas extremely quickly, and if you can survive that, like it's like if it's not. When we were talking to the project guys, it was also a conversation of, are we going to tech for this? Like, is this something that's scary? And like after the tournament, when in our like little play group, it was like, hey, maybe as GP we run 3 radio knives. Like I'm just trying to like survive, and like radio knife is good against a lot of decks, but I'm losing so many points to like a BP matchup that like I'm already losing in, but like I want to make more even.
Sure, yeah. And I think the conclusion was when we were talking to it, is like you kind of can't tech reliably into Belo Betty no matter what as these purple Luffy decks, because it's like a lot of what happens is not in your ability to deal with Belo Betty, and oftentimes you're just waiting for Belo Betty to not see their parts, and that's like, and that's the strength of Belo Betty. Belo Betty just as a deck, like if you high roll, your opponent will just die. Like it almost doesn't matter what they do. You will just kill them. You will murder them in the streets. They're, your blood in the, just draining into the sewers of
they
Toronto.
They stepped on the mine. You're just walking away. You just hear.
Yeah, and it's Jover, and so yeah, I don't know. It's like Belo Betty just has this like weird place in the meta where a lot of people don't want to play the deck. The deck is very, very good into certain decks and just super bad into others. And so, yeah, it literally feels like a kind of minefield, mine trap thing that, like, when you run into in Swiss, you just sigh and you go, well, I hope they don't have it.
Yeah,
right?
And you're just like, I could win this game or I could be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
so then, okay, so speaking on that, though, like, would you put Belo Betty as like a BDIF contender?
After this weekend, maybe?
It
like,
feels like it gave itself a strong argument, right?
I think it's BDIF with how other players are seeing the meta. And that's kind of like a weird way to phrase
Interesting,
that.
okay, yeah.
But because everyone is really high on these like purple Luffy decks, because Gum Gum Giant is just an obscene card, and if you're not playing a Gum Gum Giant deck, it feels like you're like just losing resources in the long run. That Belo Betty eats those decks alive. Maybe outside of like Peanut Butter, but I don't actually know. But from what I've been hearing is like it's not too great into a 7K leader. But regardless, I think with how other people are like, oh, I think blue purple's good, I think GP's good, like Belo Betty eats for sure. But if it gets a little bit wider, like people start to play Zoro, people start to play more Buggy, which people have, but I don't. Maybe they just were able to dodge. I think there's no, like, I still think BP is just BDIF. Like, you just have moments where you just, the game's locked up.
Blue purple, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, blue purple, and then everything else is kind of like in like A+. And everyone has on its day its ability to beat it, but nothing as consistent.
Yeah, I think after this weekend, I still think Belo Betty is just not BDIF. And I think the fact that, like, after these discussions with other top players, that you just treat Belo Betty like the strange little kid in your first grade class who just like sits by themselves and they just
but they might punch you. Like, They're gonna punch.
Oh man, this is getting dark.
It
they got problems at home.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you can't really deal with them, right? Like you just let them do their thing, and you just hope to dodge.
Yeah, you just hope to dodge. You just don't make eye contact.
And I think if that's the case, like, it's kind of hard to call it BDIF, right? Like, I think like other decks, I think there's still an argument for GP or blue purple to be the true BDIF of this format. But yeah, I think Belo Betty, despite all the results this weekend, that might sway the masses into thinking that like Belo Betty, best deck in format. I don't know if I don't know.
I don't know.
But then
I think it is an awesome top cut deck. Like, I think you can just win. If you win dice roll, you just win games.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, maybe. I mean, that was something that we talked about with Dylan too, and he was like, I don't even know if it's a good top cut deck because you have to play more games where you have to see it more times, you know?
Yeah, that's
so like,
true.
yeah, you might be favored into blue, purple, GP, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
But
You're
you gotta
favored, but
see it.
you have to see it. You, as the Belo Betty player, need to high roll their asses. And that's just like a tall order. So like, yeah, I don't know. But again, if we get to Treasure Cup, we get to Gen Con 1, 2, and 3, and Belo Betties are sweeping, I mean, I'll eat my words, you know? Like, I guess I was wrong.
I mean, I'm fine to be wrong.
Yeah.
But catch me on day 3 playing that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like,
day 1, play blue, purple, get blown out by Belo Betty. You're like, maybe I'll dodge
Variance,
day 2. Yeah, variance. Day 2, get blown out again by Belo Betty. You're like, I can't beat him. Gotta join him.
I'm down an arm and a leg. But boy, can I still punch here.
Either that or I'm bringing out the... So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But then yeah, so that's kind of the wrap up for the different regionals and where the meta is at the moment. Let's talk about our own experiences at Toronto from a tournament point of view. So I'll start first because my tournament run was very short. I played blue purple, and my initial deck list was like designed with blue purple mirrors not in mind. Like I had I cut 9-cost Luffy's from my deck. I cut a Mom from my deck for a Mihawk. I just cut like a lot of these cards that are very good in the mirror. And guess what? I played the mirror a lot, and it did not go well.
Yikes!
And it was one of those things where like each of those games, the card that I replaced the 9-cost Luffy with was the 8-cost Luffy, and I saw it in each of the games that I played in the mirror. And I was
not
like,
doing much.
Imagine if that was a 9-10 right now. That would be so much better. And I think blue purple is an interesting deck. I talked about this a little bit last week on the podcast too, where I think these stats will always show that blue purple is kind of underperforming to what like people would consider BDIF. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the lists are so different. So compared to Belo Betty, for example, blue purple lists are all over the place. Like you have the opportunity to tech in like God knows how many ways. Like you have so many directions to take the deck. And so I think depending on how well that player is prepared for that particular meta and tech for the matches that they see, like you're going to see very two different blue purple success rates. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in my case, I got owned. I got destroyed. I got my ass beat. Wee,
Hong Kong.
Yeah. I got absolutely blown out, and I tweeted about it too. Where like if you with blue purple, your list matters so much because you see so many cards through a game, and so especially in the mirror and like that, like you'll see. I don't know, 30 cards per game. And so every sort of one of that you change, every little like ratio tweak that you do matters a lot. And so, yeah, I got blown out in the main tournament. I moved to side events. What I did,
He cooked.
Yeah, I ended up going 4-0-4-0 in the side events. I cooked.
He cooked him.
And the way I did that, so we were in an Airbnb like I mean, from a walking distance standpoint, like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes away. So after I got knocked out of the main tournament, after I dropped, I signed up for side events, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to change my list as fast as possible. And I just started, walking back because I was like, I got like 30 minutes. Like that's enough time. 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. I'll have 10 minutes aside.
To re-sleeve, yeah.
I walk 10 minutes out, I'm enjoying the beautiful Toronto weather, walk across the CN Tower, like little bridge thing. I'm enjoying my time. I get to our B&B, and our B&B was bizarre, by the way, because it wasn't really a B&B. It was just a hotel.
Yeah, it just like, okay, actually, I've been to Toronto twice, or like a lot of times, but twice for like as I'm older and stayed in these kinds of places.
Yeah.
What we stayed in was like a hotel building / apartment building, like one of those luxury places, but all the rooms were not like permanent tenants. It was just like B&Bs.
Yeah,
it seemed like,
which is weird because like normally I associate B&Bs with like they're like empty houses that these
It's like its own
rich
thing.
people, or like they rent out their summer homes, yada yada. But in this case, it was just a hotel, and this hotel had the building's very tall, like 20 some floors. And we were on the 20th floor, and I get to the lobby, and it's packed. And I was like, uh-oh. And it wasn't moving. It was just a crowd of people in front of us. I was like, brothers, I need to change my list.
I have a Cosloopy in this guy.
I actually kept him in one of the side of us. Anyways, but
weirdo.
So I like sprint up. I was like, dude, I can't take the stairs, man. Like I'm not gonna run 20 stairs up to change my deck list. So I finally get into the building, our room. I'm just like flipping around the apartment for cards, and finally grab them, and I run back with them, just like trying to figure out what to do with my list.
He explains this story to us like when we're still like at the event and we're walking back for dinner that night, and we open our like, we were like, oh, we should drop stuff off, like we just have all our shit, and we just like open the door and it's just cards on his bed just everywhere. And we're like, oh, you weren't lying.
It looked like we got robbed.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah, shirts here, cards there.
It was just blue and purple cards all over the bed, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like still like putting cards into my sleeves and down the elevator, and I just run. I sprint back to our
the venue.
The venue, and finally get it done. So that was my run at Toronto. Side events were good to me. Ended up winning basically a Nami. So it's kind of like I top 64'd.
That's big for you.
That's big for me.
That's big for you. 4-0, 4-0. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So and then came out with a couple boxes. So not bad. My boxes were shit, but yeah, that was my run.
That's called gambling.
Yeah,
and we love that.
We love gambling.
Yeah. While that was happening, I was playing Swiss.
Yeah, and this man was cooking.
Yeah, I had probably the best run I've had. Little bit of luck here and there, obviously. But we talked about it too, that it's kind of like JCM, our GOAT, always says it's a numbers game. And today the numbers were on my side.
Yes.
I played GP, which actually I think on like the other end of the spectrum compared to blue purple, I don't feel like I have a lot of room to tech. Like I feel like I have like 3 cards max that I can like move around, and I'm like, oh, this feels bad.
Yeah.
Like I am very constrained. But after my crash out in Vegas, I look at the list and I'm like, I need green Zoro. And that guy did work. Oh my God, he was used.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in Vegas you were like, dude, I really want to put these Zoros in. And I felt like you regretted not having them that weekend.
Yeah.
But this time, it was different.
I said, not 1, not 2, but 3. I was like, I will see him and I will need him. I also thought that maybe not in like, I saw a lot of like people playing chump blockers, so specifically like Bonnie and green decks. Even into like Law, it's not bad. Being able to clear a chump blocker for free, I think is pretty good after they played like a Searcher or something. So I really wanted green Zoro, and I was like, it's good into Belo if I need it. It's like it's just. I think he, at the moment, outside of the blue-purple matchup, which even then you can clear a Bond Clay, or like a Zorajuro, is like very strong.
That's good value.
It's insane value. And then he can swing 6 afterwards. He's beast. That I was like, I must play this guy. And then like my events, I played like 2 Luna, which just saved me a game. Like in the most, when you're just back against the wall, you're playing Lucci. He has Jack on board. It's Andy Nguyen, who very good at the game, like was cooking me, just absolutely cooking me. He swung 5 into lead. I was like, well, I got to take this one. I'm not going to die this turn. I hit Luna trigger off life, and I rest his Jack. And he can't board wipe me. And I just go, oh, man, did I just high roll? But honestly, my run, like looking at it as like a whole, was I didn't play the same deck until, like I didn't play against the same deck until like round 8.
Yeah, you saw the whole gamut, right?
Yeah, I only saw 1 UP, and that was round 1. And he played like the Dofi package, and I had to read the cards. I truly didn't know what they did. Like I saw that the list won, and I said, people can't be playing that. And then
they do be playing that.
And then he played Rosanante, and I said, hey, can I read that? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, okay, so Reese stands 2 Dawn. That's scary. Thank you. And then he died with 8 cards in hand. He had 0 counter and 8 cards. I was like, oh, that's tough.
That's tough for you.
Yeah. He had to ramp twice with gear 1.
Yeah.
And
ramping with gear 1 against an aggro matchup is really bad.
It was good. But yeah, I played UP into Kobe, into I forget.
If you want to bring it up on your phone, yeah, you might as well.
Actually, my phone is charging outside.
Oh, okay.
But I played Robin.
Wait, I can bring up your Twitter post.
Oh my god.
Which you can find this guy on Twitter to ask him your
You're gonna need
question.
to insert that. It's gonna be like Yasunaga_Tora. I don't even know.
Yeah.
If you want that list, I think I'm gonna change it, and I don't think I'm the greatest GP player in the world, but I did just get there.
Okay, so according to here, you played into a Kobe at round 2, and then you played a Teach.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain.
Look, I'm just saying, Teach is for any deck is very losable.
You know what's also crazy is I went down on a Luffy Taro, so I'm playing 2 Luffy Taro, and I'm playing 3 SEC Luffys because I thought, okay, I was like Yomi. Speaking of Yomi levels on this X3 podcast. I was like Yomi level 4. I was like, okay, I saw a lot of Bonnies. That means a lot of people are going to play Teach. I was like, if people are playing Bonnie, people are going to play Teach. I'm going to play 3 SEC Luffys. Played 3 SEC Luffys. Didn't see a I honestly just like didn't see a playable card. I didn't see a Sanpu, and I didn't see an SEC Luffy in that whole game. I saw Zorojuros, and boy, did they get popped.
Yeah.
He just went like Van Auger, Doc Q. I was like, yep, bet.
Yeah,
no
that's
stage.
tough, yeah.
Yep.
You're
Next one put on the board. And then, I did see 1 SEC Luffy. I like swung in, and then I like staged it, and I was like, oh, AK, it's fine. He went Van Auger, Tempest Kick, pop with the 7 cost Teach.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you got it, man. I just can't play the game.
Yeah.
So
it's a low roll game on that one.
Yeah, and then weird thing happened in this. We went to lunch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's talk about the Toronto regional, because this was Unsung Events' first regional for One Piece, and I think they were really nice and kind, and I think the tournament did run fairly smoothly, but there were just like kind of weird things about it. Like they started the tournament at 11, which is just very late to begin with.
They didn't have registration, so like normally you like walk up to a booth and you pick up your registration. Instead, what they did is they had a players meeting. So they
essentially just
mocked a round 1, and then they had everyone sit at an assigned table. And then they gave you your participation.
Yeah. That is very a magic way of doing things. Like at the PTQ, maybe a little different because we were playing sealed, so they have to hand out product to everybody in like specific ways. But yeah, they sat us all down and then gave us our participation one by one. and it just takes a long time, and they had like different like judges hand out different sets of prizing, so sometimes you're just waiting there for a long time to get your stuff
For one guy and not the other guy.
and then they also didn't settle wait lists until after that too, right?
Yeah, so they did that, and then they're like, okay, these are the people that didn't show up, and then they invited waitlist people in. So we didn't actually. They said they want to start at 11. I don't think we started till like 11:30, 12,
maybe. Yeah, like
even.
like we started late.
Yeah, and then they said there's gonna be a lunch break after round 3, and I went, I'm not gonna eat dinner on time.
Like we're already starting almost at noon, so our lunch break wouldn't happen until like 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah.
And like
So by that time, like I played Teach. I'm like, honestly, that lunch break might have saved me. Like I was like, damn, I lost the good matchup, and I was tilted, and then got a little sweet treat, and then we're back in.
Also, funny enough, during our lunch break, we went to like a coffee shop. We're like, yeah, we'll pick something quick to eat. A little quick coffee to restart our day, and we went to the slowest coffee shop of all time.
Oh my God, it
might have been Toronto's slowest.
It was one lady. She was a really nice lady.
Very, very nice, but it was just one lady working a coffee shop at noon.
Oh man,
2
it was
o'clock.
tough for her. She would like give us our coffee, and you could tell like we're like kind of like antsy. We're like watching the time go down, and we're like, oh, we only have like 10 minutes left. And then she's like, oh, sorry, here's your last order. And we're like, all right, we gotta book
go.
it out. Thank you.
Yeah, I ordered like a grilled cheese. The cheese had not melted yet. She was like, get these
so
guys
dumb.
out of here. Yeah. I was like, yep, all right.
They call
let's
that
go.
cold cheese in
Yeah.
Canada.
Oui, oui.
Oui.
I don't know. Oh, fromage.
Fromage.
Frio fromage.
All right, I'm
I
gonna
don't
keep
know-
moving
I don't
on.
know. I don't know any French.
Then I think I play Robin after the break.
Yeah, purple yellow robin.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. I didn't know what that. I just read Banish, and I was like,
And it puts fear in your heart.
yeah. I'm like, I already don't. If I lose more resources, like this is bad.
Yeah.
Um.
But you just ran them down, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was quite fast. And then what we got next?
And then that was the Lucci where
yes.
Luna the Jack.
My bad.
You know, people don't talk about Luna's trigger, but that thing is crazy.
It's insane.
It's basically beige.
Okay, so like, yes, Luna unsearchable, undrawable. Yes, very lucky. Rest of body, out of life. I'll take it.
And then you had 2 back-to-back GP mirrors.
Yeah, so one of them, I think he made top 8. I think it was the first one. But during Swiss, I had 6 Dawn active. He plays SEC, or he swung 6, and I gummed out of a 6 swing. And then he played the SEC Luffy, and then he tried to swing with it. And then I went, I'm at 4 Dawn. And he goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I won. And then he got top 8 cereal. And I'm like, that guy's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He just gets there.
That's kind of crazy because, like, when EB02 first came out, like, that was a situation that happened all the time.
yeah,
Like,
you get caught out often.
yeah, very frequent. I remember the first local we went to, and because we in our testing we were like, "Oh, Gum Giant, you actually have to change how you swing in the mirror because if they're at too low of dawn, you can't get the double swing. Nonetheless, even one swing." And so at locals, GP mirrors would be happening, and you would see that situation come up time and time again. This guy top 8'd, not knowing that. That's crazy. So good for that guy.
Yeah, he talked to me after the game. Really nice guy. And he was like, yeah, I got caught out by that like a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, we're X1 like 6 rounds, 7 rounds in? And I'm like, that's beast.
That's beast for him.
That's beast for you. like I was counting Dawn.
Yeah, maybe after that moment he just locked in. You know,
Yeah.
and he was like, not doing that again.
I did see Luna. I did high roll both these GP games. I did see Luna in both. And Luna in that is just absolutely back breaking, I think. There were just I really wanted to play more Luna because if you do run into the mirror and if you can see that, granted a lot of ifs, but you just win.
Yeah.
Even one. Because I don't think a lot of people are like necessarily playing around it.
Yeah, that's
all
the
that
thing is like
often.
I feel like a lot of times people don't respect Luna and then they go, oh.
Yeah, I go freeze your 4 characters, and they're
Oh.
like, Now I have a Nami and leader. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, you
And
just
I'm like,
blow up at that point.
I got 2 turns to kill you.
And then after the 2 GPs, you played 2 Belo Bettys back to back.
Yeah, so I won the first one.
Yeah.
And that's where Homeless Zoro,
Did his thing.
me and him, homeless together. Homeless no more,
Homeless no more.
but homeless together.
Yeah.
He came out on, I played like the first game he had a slow start. He played he won dice roll and played Koala or Kuma on 2.
Okay.
And then he instantly swung with it. But then he played another body, like a 5 cost or 4 or 5k body, I think a Lindbergh. So it was really slow for him. And then I just played the Zoro and I swung 5-5-2 or whatever into his bodies, and he gave me so many cards. And then from then on, I just had to survive.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, you're already so ahead in terms of staying alive and stabilizing. So
yeah, so that's where I was like, oh, maybe aggro this deck isn't. Granted, I dodged seeing a Karasu in that first one, and I also dodged seeing Karasu in the next one.
Yeah.
Though there was you were watching, there was a game state where I could have won, but I was doing a little bit of gambling.
yeah. But I think that experience with Belo Betty sort of goes again to show what we were talking about earlier, where sometimes it's really just about Belo Betty not seeing it, right? Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know.
In both games, neither of my Belo players saw Karasu, and in what I think is just a really losing matchup, I was in game states where I should have won.
Yeah. Because we talked about so you can talk through your second game with Belo Betty.
Yeah, so in the second game, very similar things happened. He was able to he didn't play that fast. I think I won I lost both die rolls. I'm pretty sure he rolled a 12, and I knew God wasn't with me. But I think I played the Homeless Zoro again in that game, and I was able to rest one of his characters and also swing it down. He was just able to stabilize with the Ivankov, the 5/6. He played on curve to bring out another body. Yeah, that card I think is really, really strong.
Yeah. Putting up 2 bodies is great.
Yeah, any of those cards, and then he had the other Ivankov, which put up 2 bodies. He went really wide, really fast. And then I did there was a turn where if I drew a Luna, I took 2 hits. Being I can see Luna.
You were going fishing.
I was going fishing for a Luna. I see a Luna, I win the game. Granted, I swung into him to try to 2-turn kill him, and he put out a Karasu blocker. That's my bad. Don't do that.
My fault.
My fault. My fault. I didn't know you had it like that. And then I went fishing, and then so I could have gone for board with leader, and then I could have played the SCC Luffy and just swung to kill 2 hits. He had no cards in hand. He would have Karasu blocked 1. I would have just killed another body.
Yeah, he spent 3 cards killing your Sanji Pudding.
Yeah, it was crazy. He played Koala into Fire Fist.
Yeah, the Shrink Koala, the 2K.
Yeah.
Into Fire Fist, discarding another card, and then popping Sanji Pudding. And so yeah, he was left with 3 sideways bodies. And no cards in hand.
Yeah, and then I just played Sanji Pudding for no reason to try to fish for 2 of Electric Luna. I think honestly, the high of the Lucci game got me.
Yeah,
I hit it with the Japanese player. I put the card down. I shook it on the mat, and I went, "It's time." 3 cost Frankie. I was like, "Bet." Okay, and then I just left 6 Dawn active, and then I needed 2K. I need a 4K encounter off 3 giants.
Yeah, you had 3 giants in hand, and
I went 2K brick. That's fine. 2K brick. That's fine. We need 1 more K encounter. He swung 17. I was like, cool. Gum Giant. Brick event. It's gonna be okay. God, 1 time. Brick. I go, yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah, I just needed that last 1K.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the play with the we talked about this afterwards because me and Teach were watching your game, and had he played six costs, because you had 2 of them in your hand, so you just need to be able to, if you cleared 2 bodies with one of the 6 costs, and then you survive the next swing, which is easier now. You had all the giants, and then from there, like killing Koala at that point would have been pretty trivial because they just have no cards in hand. So yeah, you just like play both 6 cost Luffy's, and then you just go 7 7 7 7 7. They probably explode. Yeah. So but it is what it is. But and that brought you to your last game, which was,
and let me tell you, God had me. He put Buggy in front of me, and I got there. Honestly, it was a little sketchy. I had like no counter, and both of you were watching, and Tej was like, "Why'd you take the sick?" He actually ditched Sables really early, and I think if he didn't ditch Sables, I would have just lost on the spot. I only had 1 Sanji Pudding.
Yeah, you had a slow start.
I had a slow start and like no counter in hand. Man, I've had no counter in hand a lot. We'll get to that though. And then he ditched Sables to use leader ability, and then he played a Mihawk. And then he went he played like the Buggy into the Mihawk. And then he went 6 lead into, and then I had to take with 3 life. And then I was down to 2, and he just went 7 lead with the Mihawk. And I was like, oh, interesting. Well, I kind of have to take that actually. And I took, and then he was like, oh, I have a chance. And then I gammed his Mihawk, and then from then on, I just went wide and he couldn't play the game.
So exposing the body there, because then he just didn't have an opportunity to ever play 10 drop and like actually turn the corner
and like keep it on board.
Yeah, because he did play it.
Just bottom a guy, but he bottomed my blocker trying to go for game. But I mean, I just had Gum Giant. So
it's just toast.
Cooked.
It's toast. Yeah.
But yes, then I make my first top cut.
Yeah.
And
woo, top cut.
Yay.
Yeah. I was popping off. I'm like the best cheerleader.
Yeah, he came to me, shook me on the back. I was like, finally, a top cut. And honestly, how top cuts normally work, because a lot of our friends do make it, is you get the deck list the night before.
Yeah, you get to kind of study up on your opponent.
Yeah, so, and you get to know your matchup. So, like, I was 17th in Swiss, which kind of sucks, actually, because I don't get to pick dice roll in either of my games. But that's okay. Like, I'm playing GP, which arguably has, like, pretty decent curve, first or second.
For both, yeah.
So I'm not too mad. But we get into the player meeting, and they let us know that they might not be able to give us the list the night before.
Did they tell you why?
Not really. They were just like, I don't know how to get them, kind of. Like, kind of ordeal. Like, it was like late. It was like 10 p.m. by the time we finished.
They ain't doing lunch breaks again.
Yeah, and they were like, we don't know how to get the list to you guys. And I was like, all right, interesting. So I end up going to bed. I dream of a GP matchup, or like I dream of a UP matchup. Actually, I'm like, oh god, I have to play UP. I have no idea what I'm playing. Rock up the next day. I talk to my opponent, and he's like, oh, are you one of the Buggy players? And I go, no, but I know what he's playing now. He's playing Belo Betty for sure.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, that's fine. And then I drop off my deck. We go get coffee. We come back, right? That coffee shop was bad, by the way. Bad feng shui.
That was bad feng shui.
Anyway, I queue into the Belo Betty player, but then they give us the deck list to study for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was very bizarre because I came in with you in the morning, and so I was like kind of seeing all this unfold, and normally there is a song and dance to Top Cut. You know, they sit you down, talk to you, like you get your decks and whatever. But this time around, they sat you guys down, had like a whole meeting, and then they had you guys go outside.
Oh yeah, they had us take a picture. That was a top 32 picture.
Oh, that was a picture? That's why they put you out there?
And they gave us our top 64 or top 32 prizing. So the finalist packs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And they
gave you that first.
Stand there and smile for Mr. Bandai. And I was like, okay. And then I walk back in and they're like, all right, here's 5 minutes with the deck list. And I'm like, okay.
It's Belo Betty.
It's Belo Betty. And I'm like, oh, he's playing Zeus. That's cool. Yeah, I'm not going to let my Sanji Pudding get popped. That's all I need to know. And then I'm like, oh, 10 2Ks. That's cool. He looked at my list. He goes, 8 2Ks. Better see him. And I was like, brother. And then I just didn't play the game.
Yeah, all this preparation, sleeping, nightmares beforehand, all this to play Belo Betty with zero counter.
Yeah, I draw my first hand and like it's just like 4 bricks and state or 4 bricks and like
sure, some card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, gotta mull that. Like it was like close to unplayable. Second hand, 5 bricks, but I have stage. And I'm like, stage, it's me and you, buddy. We've done it before. Top deck something good. Brick. He played double searcher game 1, pitched a card, swung 5/5/5. I took all 3. I just died.
You exploded, yeah.
And then game 2, I'm like, all right, I'll go second. Mull. Don't see Zoro. And I'm like, don't see Zoro or don't see like a playable body for a while. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just mull again. 4 bricks this time. But I was like, 4 bricks and Uso Hachi. And I was like, okay, well, we better draw into something good. No searchers either. I'm like, this is cooked. This might be cooked. I go pass on my 2 Dawn turn. He plays 2 bodies. I have 4 Dawn active. Do you know what I do? I say pass. The card I can play in that turn is Uso Hachi.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it later, and they're like, you just should have played Uso Hachi. And I'm like, yeah, you right.
Yeah.
But that's a 2K. I died last game.
You just had an unplayable hand. I mean, Uso Hachi at least lets you clear another body, which may be relevant, but man, you're just in such a bad spot
So
regardless.
bad. Like the next card I can play is Sanji Pudding. Like I have playable hand after that, but when you're playing against Belo Betty, you don't get to like elongate the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just got swung down and I died.
Yep.
He ended up winning
The
it
whole
all.
thing, yeah.
So good
kind
for,
of
good
you're
for
like
him. So up my stocks, like I was just fodder to him. Yeah. I probably just like relieved all the top W2 pressure. He just went, yeah, I just cooked that guy round 1. Like I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like he just went on a hot run, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the deck.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're
just kind of the deck.
It's the new version of like the Anel Casino, where you are like...
Yeah, rather than seeing like the defensive stuff you need to stay in the game, it's just like how hard can you hit your opponent. Yeah, I think... So, okay, we talked about the meta a little bit. So, going back from last week, I talked to Josh, and before even last week, I was talking about how like I dislike this meta, and I was like, oh, maybe there's hope for it actually, because like Bonnie means like people are actually trying to interact and stuff. But I think with the rise of Belo Betty, I think I'm back on board with hating the meta again.
You don't like it.
I just think like
this.
so much of the current meta is just about like how hard can you punch your opponent before they get a chance to like have a real game, you know? And I'm not sure if I love that.
So I think like I've been grinding this like format a bit. I've been playing a lot of this specific like 11 format. And I don't necessarily like, I think at our local level, I find it quite fun because no one plays Belo Betty. Like not a lot of people at least. Like maybe a couple here and there at our current locals. But at a regional level, like I saw what it feels like to like high roll your matchups. Like I just didn't see UP and I only saw Belo way late and one like low rolled into me, right? So I think the format isn't conducive for consistency. And I think in a card game of already high variance, to those that will need to hear it, that like adding more variance in matchup is like, ugh, I hate this. This game sucks. But I do think the decks we're currently playing are very fun. Like
sure,
I think like Sokka was fun to us, so that's a different story.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I love that shit.
Give me that.
Yeah. Discard draw. Discard draw.
-1.
Moria. I had a good time.
Me too. That was the glory days. But
Josh would never understand.
Yeah, because he played Moria
Bleh, 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 bleh.
and Purple Luffy.
Bleh.
Bleh. But yeah, I think all the decks are like very interesting, and it is not the Kingslayer meta we thought we were in with BP. And it isn't. I'm happy that I don't have to play the mirror 8 times. Is all I'll say. The mirror 8 times is worse. Like Sokka mirror is interesting, but I think the BP mirror is not as interesting.
You mean blue purple, right?
Yeah, blue purple. Sorry, I keep saying black purple, right? Not peanut butter. I meant blue purple. That is kind of like who puts their Sanji down first is ahead. And I think that's worse for the game in terms of like a mirror, in my opinion. I almost like play decks that have more fun mirrors. And so, yeah, I find this meta like a little bit more fun from maybe like a variance perspective. In terms of like the decks I'm getting to play against.
Yeah, I can see that. My biggest argument now because I'm just a hater at my core. I'm just
D1. D1.
Oh,
like division,
D1 Division 1 hater.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm professional. I be hating my bones. I get paid. I get paid hating.
Paid to hate.
Yeah, I'm just a hater. The thing I hate about this meta is just, again, it just feels like whoever high rolls, like wins dice roll, high rolls. Like it's very. I don't feel like I have a lot of like medium games a lot, and I think that's something that I kind of miss about some of the more like attrition heavy games. But that being said, it is what it is. I still think like what's interesting about the current meta is that I think it is stronger on like combat fundamentals matter quite a bit right now, which I think is actually good for just One Piece as a whole. So even though like again I kind of dislike Belo Betty and where it is in the format. Like I think a good healthy meta should have an aggro deck, but I don't think an aggro deck like Belo Betty is really where I want to see it. Like I'm actually really looking forward to like when OP12 comes out, because now I feel like we have this like very strong delineation of like we have an aggro deck in Rayleigh, which is like your very typical low to the ground aggro deck.
Looks awesome.
We have Zoro, very typical mid-range deck.
I can't wait.
Yeah, just, outvalues you by swinging at your board, swinging at you, like gets a lot of value worth of stuff. And then you have a control deck like Blue Purple, who's just trying to win the late game, attrition you out. Like
lock me up, officer.
Yeah, lock you up, send you to jail. That's a much healthier looking meta, in my opinion, in terms of gameplay. So I'm looking forward to Belo Betty to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, me too, after what happened. I'm just trying to appease the gods and say that it's not as bad as it is. But we'll see also in those treasure cups. Because maybe like with the rise of Belo Betty, new like challengers will come to the floor and like we'll
Lucci,
see a very
maybe,
like
something.
Oh please no. Don't make me mill two jacks. No.
Yeah, I wonder, we saw some Lucci's across the board.
Yeah,
so that
and they
could
did
be
well.
They did well. I also think like, people say Bonnie, but our good friend Tej, who plays a lot of Bonnie, like
doesn't believe.
Yeah, doesn't believe in the deck. He thinks like, everyone says like, oh yeah, Bonnie smashes Belo Betty, which may be true, but it's also very losable from Belo Betty's side too. It's again just kind of how much does Belo Betty see it over you, and like Bonnie's another deck that can brick out as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, that's kind of the wrap up of this. Looking forward to OP12. What are you looking forward to playing?
I love Green Zoro.
Interesting.
And you know why? I just want to play Perona. Searcher Perona. I'm just a little Searcher Perona simp. Okay?
His front page of his trade binder is just Perona. Sorry, did I
calm?
Okay.
You didn't hear anything. Erase that.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of the cast. Thanks, Tora, for joining at such short notice. In fact, we had just gotten off the plane, so
yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Where can they find you?
I guess on Twitter now.
Yeah.
And on Limitless, baby.
Hey! Congratulations.
No ego, but thanks for everyone that like we play with. I think we pretty much grinded the end of this set and they kind of got me there.
Let's go.
Yeah, so yeah, but on Twitter, just a little guy. I don't really post my locals unless I win. I'm just kidding. But I will be retweeting a lot of horse girl memes, and you'll find that out in the Patreon.
Yeah, Uma Musume kind of taking over life. So anyways, thanks y'all for watching. We'll catch you in the next podcast. Josh will be back. And
I will evolve.
Yeah. And then he's going to say some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.